Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Think Small podcast. My name is Monica Dema of MD Inc. I'm here today with the founder and president of Technology Therapy Group, Jennifer Shaheen. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
So for the audience that doesn't yet know you, I think you're the first person we've spoken to from Rhode Island. Give us a little bit of background on what you do, not an elevator pitch, just kind of a high level.
Sure. So I am the founder and president, as you mentioned, of a company called Technology Therapy Group. We're a full service digital marketing and development company. And that grew out of actually me being a trainer. So at the root of who we are, we really like to make sure we're educating. And I started the business in college, and it's really always been my passion. It's funny, I think about it, 1997, HTML was still new. And I was like, this stuff is going to make it really easy for small businesses. So that's actually been my mantra for a long time. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted to be part of the show, is because I've always felt like technology could be a competitive advantage if you really spend the time and learn it. So that's sort of, who we are. We work with a mix of businesses, from emerging startups to already existing companies looking for growth, but very goal and strategic oriented. So not to get into the weeds of like everything we do, but maybe that's enough of a high level.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the last sentence you shared kind of hit it on the head. Growth and strategic growth is what you help your clients with. So let's talk about how you've optimized and utilized growth and strategic growth for your company.
Sure. So it's an interesting question because, I think like most businesses, I set goals for our organization, and I'm bringing this up now just because of the year we're in, but you also have to learn to be nimble and agile and pivot. And I think we've done a lot of that as an organization. It's one of the things we're in the midst of right now. So, we had to do it. It's funny, like, I'm sure you're still talking about COVID with some people, but like 2020 was a nervous year because at the beginning of the year, marketing is one of the first things that gets cut. So, I was like, okay, we're going to pivot and start to lean in more into training. And we did, but as luck would have it, because we're also a tech education and support company in that way, a lot of the businesses we worked with who were dragging their feet around like a better website or, using like booking systems and appointment centers really came back to us and said, we really need to do this because we can't be in person.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
That was a major pivot. And I think we talked about this a little bit when we chatted before the call, but in, 2023, the writing started to be on the wall around the world of AI. And I was like, okay, I'm going back to school. So I went back and took a class at MIT on understanding large language models and learning all about, how AI works, and kind of threw myself into it as much as there was, people complaining about it. I will say we still hear it. I know if I don't learn, then, I'm doing the same thing that my clients did in, the early 2000s. It's just putting their head in the sand and saying it's not going to happen. It's
right.
So, but I think the thing that probably makes me and my team a little differently is that we really truly value people. And my goal with understanding AI is to get like our clients to understand like where the best uses are, and also, how to make sure they're supporting team members properly as they start to roll that out. So I think for me, that's really paramount to adoption and understanding and overall success. And it goes back to your question on strategy, which is with any growth in your business, I think you need to be strategic in the decisions you're making. And that can be as simple as we're going to adopt artificial intelligence, we're going to open a new location, depends on what your business vision is, planning that out and understanding that, it's okay to go a little slower.
There's that army motto of slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? And I think that owning a small business, it can be overwhelming sometimes where you're like, I have to do all the things all the time, every time. And that's not sustainable, and it's not going to bring you to meaningful, impactful growth. It might have like a quick blip on your income radar, and then it'll fall back down because it's not sustainable. So as you're talking about strategically moving into a different technology space, a training space, empowering your clients to learn these technologies, what is that process like? Giving them the reins a little bit more.
Yeah. What's interesting about this right now is we're actually, as an organization, also going through changes. We're getting into not only the training and more, but we're also getting into transitioning to some product development. And I bring that up as that conversation around like advising clients is what I'm finding right now, I think is the most important is going back to foundations. And you cannot be successful with artificial intelligence truly if you are not clear about foundations and process. And where frustration comes in for most people that I find and most organizations is they aren't getting the outputs they're hearing from everybody else because no one stopped them to say, okay, let's get off of the technology and let's look at your process. And Monica, things for me, I've always come like 360. 15 years ago, I was doing this with CRMs. Like someone would say to me, well, I really want this, CRM, customer relationship management, for people who aren't familiar with the term, but to work for me and my team. And I would say, great, let's walk through what is your sales process like? What are your steps? What is your follow-up? And when they struggled explaining that to me, I would explain that until you can explain it and write it down on paper, you cannot get the technology, because that's essentially what you're doing. I mean, AI is just a faster version of, and I'm simplifying it, of course, but in some ways it's a faster version of automation. It is a thinking version, of course, but if you look at workflows, a lot of small businesses keep doing the same thing because they don't want to stop and take the time to build out a process. And that was a lesson I learned. I realized, had I learned this lesson when I started my business, we would have been a little further along than we are today. I really adopted the understanding that process is it's so much part of your success that you don't even realize it. And those people who are where you go, whoa, they're usually the ones that spent a lot of time on foundational setup.
Right.
And so today, I think more than ever, we really need to be focusing on back to basics.
Yeah. Well, it's hindsight too. If you don't have the foundation, if you don't have the processes in place, it doesn't matter where you're going because you don't know where you are.
Right.
So
Very true.
I agree with you on that. And I think as part of the training process, if a client doesn't understand using a website, for example, what they want their website to serve, if it's just a brochure, if it's an interactive medium, if it's a sales pipeline, those are very different ways to approach the same www.website.com, right? So we've gone to the AI portion of the discussion a little quicker than I imagined we would, which is fantastic, and it's fine. The AI that's out there now, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, I know you shared with us that you took a course at MIT to master and learn LLM. It has probably since had several iterations since then. So for people listening right now, whether they are an aspiring business owner or they're in hustle culture, what advice would you have for them?
So the best advice I have is to go to the platforms and look for their training. One of the reasons I feel that way is I have a YouTube channel. I put things on there. We all do. But the hardest thing about learning I think it doesn't matter what you're learning. If you cannot connect it to how it aligns with your business, you oftentimes go on YouTube and watch a video and get confused. It can actually be more frustrating. And so the class that I took was really about understanding what's behind what builds the engines. I am constantly learning. Like, it is one of our core values at my company is that you need to be curious, and curiosity is an important, team value that I really do feel I have to lead with. And I am naturally curious on some things, not others. Right. Definitely not one of these people that likes to stand there and get a history lesson, I'll be honest. But if you give me a history of tech, I'll sit there all day. Right. So it's funny how we, as humans, we're drawn to certain things. And so I'm curious about technology. I always have been. So for me, that's important. And I really ask my team to continue to learn. And as a leader, we have to be that way to get our teams to do that. So I would say you don't have to be the one that does everything. Never, right? Like, I don't do the bookkeeping, but I know how to read a spreadsheet, right? I don't have to run my P&L. But I do know how to get into QuickBooks and run it if I need to. Right. And I really appreciated that you said, when we start businesses, and I did it, I started it out of my dorm room, my college apartment. I had to do everything, but I was also get to a point where you need to let go, but you also need to understand the basics. I don't know how to fix my car, but I know that it needs an oil. I know that, if a sensor goes off, I don't ignore it. Right. So technology is not, I think, that much different. I find so many businesses, especially my Gen X business owners and baby boomers, right? People who might be starting businesses as a second career, we have a tendency to avoid things that we're uncomfortable with. It's actually why our company was called Technology Therapy, is because that's actually how we started. Is I've always worked with people who were more senior to us and were struggling. And now it's funny because I'm now working with, because millennials are in their 40s.
Yes, we are.
And people make an assumption because they were first generation tech but they don't know everything either. And none of us do. So I think going back to where your question was, is I just feel like you just go to the platforms, look at their videos. Claude has actually a Claude Academy, which I love. I definitely will say I drink Claude's Kool-Aid, Monica, because I think one of the things I like about them is their ethics, of all of them. But I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I'm in Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot, and ChatGPT, not to mention, the AIs that run on other systems. Like, we both have running a note taker. So
it is nice, although I am still taking actual physical notes. As
I saw.
Yeah. There's nothing quite like a pad and pen for me. Thank you for noticing that, Jennifer. I appreciate it. So when you were talking about being curious, one of the things that pop into mind is a motto that I have with my clients and my peers is to remain curious instead of judgmental. And maybe that comes from Ted Lasso, right?
I love that.
And it just opens up the conversation and the idea bank a little bit farther, instead of saying, it's not like it was before. Why isn't it like it was before? Why isn't it like I had envisioned it? Say, why is it this way? What is it telling me? What is it teaching me? Why am I averse to this lesson? Where is the what is the takeaway? And it's all coming from a place of curiosity, because you can have so many more questions from a place of curiosity, like a child, right? Like a 3-year-old. What does this do? What does that do? Why is it that color? Why is it wet? Why is it squishy? So if we can approach more things with that curiosity, the learning that we can get is so much more collaborative, informative, interesting, right? And then another thing you mentioned, that you would like to learn the history of technology more than maybe the history of Central Europe. I always believe if we follow our highest passion, we are in alignment with our purpose. And you don't have to be excited about like ancient history the way you are with technology, nor is anybody asking you to, and like fitting a square peg in a round circle. But it's the following your highest excitement. And then again, with curiosity and pairing that together, like I think you listed off 5 or 6 AIs that you use, probably for very different reasons, right? And also because you're curious about them, because next month they're probably going to all be different again, right? And maybe Claude is going to take over the usage of 3 other AIs, and or vice versa. We don't know. And I think you having your finger on that pulse really lets you benefit yourself, benefit your team, benefit your clients, and what they might not know as a technology therapist.
Yeah, right. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I actually want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. I wanted to build on something you said about websites, and you mentioned the thing that the owner needs. And around the curiosity side, I'd love to talk about the fact that we always have, I'm prepping for a big pitch next week, so it's very top of mind, but we have 2 pillars when we build things. It's very much about what are your business goals, so strategy, back to the beginning of our conversation. But the second is, most important is, who is this for? And so I wanted to, because you started to do that and then we went off on the AI, and I wanted to bring us back to it if you're okay with that, because just around that curiosity, I think curiosity needs to also extend into the lens of your customers and your team. One of the things that I've done as an owner and a leader is I'm really big on understanding customer experiences and looking through their lens. But one of the things my team has taught me is to recognize the team members internally and their lenses and how it impacts things. Right. So I just wanted to bring us back to this conversation of, when we talk about growth and strategy, we also have to remember that, it's an entire ecosystem, and we need to be looking at things in different lenses. And I find that we don't do this enough. It's something I really need to push back on the business owners I work with when they make comments, right, about AI or anything, but I ask them to start looking at the lens from the other side. And the more I get people to realize to stop looking through their lens and start looking through other lenses, I find that the adoption, it becomes actually a little bit more natural, because they realize they don't want to alienate someone else.
Right. It's the curiosity.
Go ahead.
No, it's the curiosity factor of like, oh, how have I missed these people? How can I better serve these people? Right? Instead of alienating.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to bring that up, because as we talk about, business and growth and anything else, I think there's 2 sides. Is, when I teach, storytelling or anything from a business and strategy perspective, I always go into you have to know yourself, right? The why, we all have the Simon Sinek, right? But, you have to understand, the person, right? So I have loved the Simon Sinek and Donald Miller mentalities, like, the customer is the hero. But if you don't understand, the customer's perspective, right, you're going to have a hard time. And right now, more than ever, customers are changing behaviors because of tools. So you may not love them, but, I will tell you a funny thing is, do you know some of the greatest adoption of AI is in the senior community?
I would believe that. Yeah.
Because it's easy for them to talk to, right, and because artificial intelligence understands context more than search engines work off, keywords, right, that's more comfortable. So like I've noticed my mom's friends, oh, I asked ChatGPT this, I asked ChatGPT that.
Yeah.
It's a captive they're audience. All using the free versions, and I'm like, this, oh my God, security in my head. But I just bring it up because we think technology ought to we think youth, and it's ironic. It's the complete opposite. Where I did a presentation for a class of FIT students, and they're very anti AI for environmental reasons, for authenticity reasons, and I understand. That's why I said to you the lens is so important, because I understand all sides. So it's just an interesting kind of world that we're living in right now, is paying attention to different behavior shifts.
So speaking of behavior, and you kind of alluded to this with FIT students and Claude, what about AI makes it ethical or unethical?
It's a good question. This is why I say I wanted questions ahead of time.
Yes, to the audience, we don't give questions ahead of time.
Yes, exactly. So, like, I think, see, the science stuff is like, it's really all about uses. For me, I teach my team guardrails, and I'm doing a presentation this week on AI. And that's one of the things that, I explain is, proper setup, it's called anonymizing content. So making sure that you're not putting anything with your personal customer information in when you're doing, analysis. So when we talk about ethical uses, those are some of the things that I think about, at least through my marketing business lens. But it is a tool where people will definitely go in, just like anything, and try and manipulate it for benefit. Like, I'll give you an example. We work a lot with retail jewelers, and security is a big concern. So one tip that I give all my jewelers is to never accept voice notices, because that is actually one of the places artificial intelligence voice recognition is extremely good. And funny enough, actually, I'm disappointed in, like, American Express the other day asked me to do voice recognition when I call, and I said, like, no, I decline it, because because I'm on so many of these.
Right.
Anyone. So when you talk about that, that's an ethical angle, of course. And then I think the other side of ethics here, which I don't have the solution, nor do I understand how to solve it, is the environmental sides. The draining of powers and water is an issue. I feel it's going to be attacked, but it should be attacked sooner, right? Like, they're trying, but nothing is fast enough, right?
I think we're aligned on both sides of the ethics issue, which is why I also brought it up, where, we're going to have these great memes, videos, and analyses, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Right? Our clean water, our electric, the safety of the elderly and the children that live in these communities that are impacted, not just ourselves, right? Like, let's look at the extremes of the underserved. The other interesting thing is, looking at a few studies, there are ways to have AI data centers that don't utilize as much water or electric as they use, but it's more expensive. And in my mind, I'm like, fine, instead of charging the $20 or $30 per month, charge $100 or $200 and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Charge the fair price so that we don't all have to suffer for, like, the sins of the few. I'm putting air quotes around that.
Yeah.
But I am such an environmentalist, and it really hurts my heart when they keep building these big, huge data centers in very rural areas, underserved, who can't fight for what's right for their community, not necessarily just the ethics behind it. So I'm interested to see where it goes in the next few years. I am certainly mindful on the frequency of use that I utilize AI, or any technology for that matter. I don't get new phones every year. I don't get a new computer every year. I know people that do, and they're very excited about it. And I look at holes in the earth, and I'm like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
But anyway.
And it's funny because I almost feel like in some ways AI has that Amazon effect, which is going to sound like a little weird, but like when Amazon first started, people would like not buy from Amazon because it hurts small businesses. And even today, I will have someone on my team say, I really hate buying from Amazon. But see, that's the part. I hate doing it, but I'm doing it because they made it easy, right? And so when I work with small businesses, that's actually one of the things that I try to get them to understand is the more you make things easy for people, the more likely they are to continue to work with you. and again, not to derail us in the conversation, but I think that's why AI is easy, right? It's easy to get a better outcome. And at the end of the day, humans, all of us, I love to work at something, right? But there are times where I just want something to be easy.
Yeah.
That's by the way, opportunity for businesses. Like when you make something easy for a customer, usually they're willing to pay more, right? How many of us are paying for Amazon Prime who probably don't use? That's where they make a lot more money than they ever used to. Because honestly, no one has something shipped every day.
No,
Some people.
Nor should they, except for my neighbors.
Yeah.
I think, that easy button that Staples used to promote, right? Like you could do the easy way or the hard way, but I think just human nature in general, we sometimes complicate things because if it's too easy, then we're like, why is it so easy? What's the catch?
Yeah.
Right? So if there's a small hoop to jump through that makes us committed to the outcome, it can't be that easy. It can't be that hard. It's just right. It's that sweet spot, which can be really alluring for business owners when they're looking at AI or, overnight delivery services.
Can I ask you a really weird question?
Please.
Since you mentioned that, I have this philosophy, and anyone who owns a design company may agree or disagree with this, but I always feel like you should never, when you put something in front of a client, make something 100% like amazing, because they need to be part of the process and critique it. It almost feels like that little hoop. Like if we don't feel like so I wanted to ask you, because of what you do you find the same thing? Like you could polish a little bit more, you could make this, but you don't do it. So I wanted to ask you.
It's the Duncan Hines principle where, right, they discovered if it was only 2 ingredients that you add to something, it's too easy, people aren't going to buy it. But if it's 3 ingredients, they feel like they're making it, they're involved, they're participating in it.
I forgot about that.
So, yeah, and not that I'm doing that as a manipulation, because I also know, like, I'm not perfect. I can't make it right the first time. And I would love their input, like genuinely love their input to make it exactly how they want it. Even if it's formatting or, a font color, cool. Give me all that information. So I would say it's as perfect, air quotes, as I can make it for what I envision with the information that was given to me. From there, I fully acknowledge it's draft 1. If they want to go with that right off the bat, that will actually cause alarm bells for me, because later on when they go to implement and they'll say, oh, it should be changed this way, this way, this way. I'm like, we're about to pull the switch on. It's not the time. So yeah, that's where I fall. I hope that answers your question.
No, that's great. And I didn't mean to lead that we do that, but I find that I would rather show somebody something partially, so they feel like they can be part of it. And I just thought it was an interesting comment, because we're talking about easy, and then you have situations where, well, I want to be part of it. And so I just think it's really interesting how we are as humans, that we, sometimes we really want to dig in, and sometimes we're just like, just too fun.
Well, I mean, there's a time and a place for that too, but the first interaction with the client to do that the first time, that's red flags. If we've worked together 10 years and they're like, I trust your judgment for this launch, okay, that's a relationship that was earned both ways. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. So as we're talking about growth, being growth mindset, strategic mindset, what does growth look like in the next 5 or so years for you?
So for us, we're doing a couple of things. We're growing products. So what I'm looking for right now, and it's why I as an owner, and this is probably, I try not to get in the weeds of being in my business, but work on my business.
Yeah.
We are like a 15-person company. So we're not not 2, but we're not, right now I'm talking to build a partnership with another agency that's like 3 times the size of us. So for growth, that's sort of the things that I'm looking for, is we're looking to start moving into some product development. But I brought up the point, Monica, because I wanted to bring up the fact that if I don't work with clients I can't find the problems. My team is amazing, but they just don't see things the way I see them, because it's my nature to connect dots. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to identify what I call are small problems that would give big lift, and will be small solutions that make people go, wow, this made my life easier. So that's part of our growth strategy right now is, and the great thing for me, actually, bringing it back to AI for a minute, is I'm an owner by myself. And so what artificial intelligence has allowed me to do is think through very strategically back and forth, what does this product look like? Start to ask the questions, because if you know how to use the AI, it will challenge you. It won't just say, yes, Jennifer, that's a great idea.
It does have a bias.
Right? But you do need to understand that you have to tell it to act as, and we talk about this role, but it's role in context to say, give me feedback from this lens, this perspective. What would this user do? So that's part of our growth. Partnerships are part of our growth. Just kind of learning like where clients are going to truly use AI for places that they would have leveraged us. And really, we're moving into creating programs that are more around the human side, strategy, because AI is not good at strategy. It can do research, but you still need experience and just in general understanding of the market. People are going to ask you questions, understanding more human behavior to be successful. So that's where we're going, Monica. So I'm excited.
So the one question that we ask in every single podcast is, so what's stopping you?
Mm-hmm. Nothing. I'm doing it. I love that. Right now, the biggest hurdle, I wouldn't say it's stopping us, but the biggest hurdle is talent, honestly. And talent at what I can afford is actually the two parts, right? And I would say I'm not probably alone in that, but those are the things that I think hold back. I have been getting creative about how I'm doing things. I told my husband today, I was like, I want to go find employees from this company because I'm hearing buzz that they're not happy and they're really technically savvy. So maybe I can. So I love that question, because I think the question really forces your brain to go, what can I do differently to be successful? And so if you had asked me this a year ago, I would have just said time and money. But now I think I've just gotten out of my own way finally. And I will say that's something that happens to all of us. We all
absolutely
get in our own way.
Yeah, there was a bumper sticker that said, get out of your way, which is funny. As a bumper sticker, the car's probably in your way,
right?
if you're reading it.
It's true.
But yeah, get out of your way. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time today. Thank you to our audience for listening to this beautiful conversation about AI and how it can help grow agencies. Jennifer, if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
So technologytherapy.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn as well. So just look for my name. I'm the only one. I'm one of the few out there. And if you Google me, I'm actually still the first 10 results. So yes, I would love to hear from you. Definitely reach out. Always open to conversations and connections.
Fantastic. And I'll include that information in the show notes below. To our audience today, thank you for listening. Please leave your comments and let us know what else you would like to hear from us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Monica.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?